Welcome back to the Hotdish Hustle, where we're serving up a piping hot dish of entrepreneurial spirit straight from the frozen heart of the Midwest. Brace yourselves, folks, because today we're about to melt your minds with a revolutionary idea that's taking the chill out of winter. Introducing SnowByrd, the game changing startup that's about to make you fall in love with snowfall all over again. Founded by the fluff fighting trio of Eric Jorgenson, Erik Wall, and Adam Grant, this Fargo born brainchild is swooping in to rescue us from the winter blues. Picture this: it's a bone chilling morning, snow's piled high in your driveway, and you're dreading the shovel. But wait, with a few taps of your smartphone, SnowByrd's cutting edge app summons your snow clearing superhero faster than you can say brain freeze. Available on both Android and Apple devices, this isn't just convenience, it's a winter revolution. So cozy up because we're about to dive deep into how this innovative Fargo founders are avalanching the snow removal industry and turning winter woes into winter wows. Get ready to soar with SnowByrd on this electrifying episode of the Hotdish Hustle. Eric, thanks for joining today. What's going on with SnowByrd?
Good morning. Well, thanks for having me on, Gary. You're a lot better with words than I am, that's for sure. That was a great introduction. You might need to send that to me, actually. So this morning we got our first snow. It started yesterday and continued kind of throughout the evening. And so this morning has kind of been a busy little morning already, which is great because the word is actually getting out there, which is one of those things that we obviously have been focusing on. Is this is essentially our first real winter. Last winter we kicked this thing off, but there was maybe one or two times that actually anybody needed to call a SnowByrd. So it's been a good morning so far, and it's
Excellent.
only 9:30.
That's great. That's great. How timely are we today to be recording this, huh?
Yeah, I know, right? Well, and that's why the other partner, Eric Jorgenson, wasn't able to come on with us. So he's out there kind of doing some snow removal, and him and Adam are just kind of working the Fargo Moorhead area.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about SnowByrd. What is SnowByrd and why should someone care about SnowByrd?
Yeah, so SnowByrd, we are an on-demand snow removal service. So obviously there's a lot of other on-demand services that we use on an everyday basis. And, we just found a need about 3, 4 years ago when we kind of came up with this idea. There was just a need where people don't always want a contract in the winter. They want to do their own snow removal or they can just figure out what they want to do with it. But, sometimes you're tired. You don't want to do it. Sometimes early in the morning, you don't want to get up and shovel or snow blow before you go to work. Or mid-afternoon, we get a big snowstorm. You don't want to come home, got to get dinner ready. And the first thing or the last thing you want to do is probably do some snow removal. So we started thinking, for those odd occasions, there's definitely a need for this. So we came up with the idea for SnowByrd and having the on-demand with our app. You go on, you click on, you schedule your snow removal service, and we our goal is to be out to your house within 30 to 45 minutes.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So what are your backgrounds, Eric? I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't think any of you have a technology background. But correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me about your backgrounds and how you got into this.
Yeah, so really, my background, I'm in real estate. And so there's always a need for different services, right? And so some of these on-demand services, and especially after last winter when there's a lot of contracts that were paid, and rightfully so, people like those contracts. They want to know that their snow is being removed right away. Well, we didn't have a whole lot. So people paid a premium to have their snow removed once or twice last year. So in real estate, I see that. I talk to customers, I talk to clients all the time. And, it's just kind of one of those things like, how can we help people in certain situations and scenarios, because we're not for those that want to have a contract. There is definitely a time and a place for those that want a contract, and it's a great service to have. But for those that didn't, I talked to them and my clients, and this is something that I thought would really benefit and really fit. So I do not have a technology background. The other two also do not have technology backgrounds. One of them does work in the equipment selling industry. And then the other one works for the railroad. So really not a whole lot of techie background, but that's why we hired out the app. We had the specialists putting together the app. Otherwise, we probably still wouldn't have this thing kicked off or off the ground yet. But we are three veterans, so we are used to kind of those military values of loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage, stuff like that. And we're willing to work hard. We want to make sure that we provide a service and we do things the right way. And so that's kind of all of this, just having that idea and coming up with this and what can we do on demand. And actually it's kind of during the COVID period when everybody's kind of sitting around a little bit and starting to use more of those on-demand services as you're stuck in your homes, right? And so
Yeah.
a natural fit for the Fargo Moorhead area, since we do get plenty of snow, was to do an on-demand snow removal. And to kind of sister company that, as we came up with the snow removal, we said, well, you know what? What are we going to do? What can we do in the summer to help people? Well, we decided to come up with Groundhog. And Groundhog is going to be this exact same concept, and it'll be on-demand lawn care. So think of mowing, trimming, we can take away brush, anything we could do, pet waste removal, stuff like that. We could do edging. So it's really kind of come along over the 4 years. There's been a lot that we put into it, but it's come a long ways.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And for a couple of guys that don't have a tech background to solve a problem with technology, which is kind of how I see this, is it's great because a lot of founders that I talk to, they're tech founders and they come from the tech first, kind of viewpoint. And, you guys are coming from the user, the customer need viewpoint. And I think that's really special what you guys are doing. I'm super impressed. I downloaded the app myself yesterday, as you know, and it was very impressive. I mean, you guys have done a great job for being non-techies. So congratulations for that. What are some of the biggest challenges you guys had to come across as you started delving into this world?
Wow. Where do I begin? The idea was easy, right? Because it was a service, it's something to help people. We wanted to help people make their lives easier. So that wasn't a problem coming up with that idea. Okay, well, where do we go from there? Well, we need an app. Okay, so let's start looking for app developers. So we started looking around for app developers. We did find an app developer, but then it's like bringing our idea into an app. And so there's been a lot of trials and tribulations going back and forth on the app to make it look the way that we wanted it to look, and then to operate. So it's a very, I think, complex system on how it has to operate in order to ensure that we get the on-demand, true on-demand. We hope we get to you before 30 to 45 minutes, but it really takes a lot to put that into motion. So we've gone a lot back and forth, and that's kind of why we didn't kick off exactly when we wanted to, is because the app developers, we beta tested over and over and over, and we would find glitches, we'd find issues. On top of that, we've got pay stuff. So we've got to pay, we've got a service that pays our drivers pretty much within a day. Most of the time is going to be within a day. So you've got those services that also have to be taken into consideration. So we had all of that stuff. So things are going in the right direction, right? We're like, okay, things are looking good. We've made a lot of adjustments. This has taken a couple of years. And then insurance. So we started running into a bunch of companies that did not want to take us on for insurance. This is a business that all these big insurance companies had never really heard of. This is a startup, complete startup. Nowhere else in the United States did they have anything like this. And it was happening in the Fargo Moorhead area. So with insurance, I think there's a pretty big liability with snow removal companies the way it is. And that's why they have to have big policies, right? So the snow removal was a big piece of that. And so it was a startup. We've got no experience realistically in terms of an app, an on-demand snow removal app. We have no numbers to prove what we're going to do, what we're not going to do. So we had a tough time, but we did, as you know, Brady Blomberg with On Point Insurance is a phenomenal insurance agent here in the area. He went to work for us and he found a company that was willing to take us on. And so they certainly took a risk, and that was last year. So we've been paying insurance, a big insurance premium for the last year on this business based on a projected number that we had. And so this year made it a lot easier for them to renew our policy, right? Because they had seen, okay, the liability piece, they didn't have any they didn't have any claims. They didn't have anything like that out there. So it's really just been kind of ever evolving, and it's going to continue to evolve. You look at a lot of startup companies, and at the get-go, it's a little clunky, right? It's kind of like, it's a little clunky here and there. There's things that happen, and that's kind of what we've done the beta testing for. And so we'll continue to get better as we see any issues or anything arises. We're here. We're ready to help out at a moment's notice to ensure that this is a phenomenal experience for our clients and our customers because they're paying for a service. So we want to make sure we deliver that top-notch quality.
Yeah, yeah. So this is a lot like, some of the rideshare companies that are out there. And I'm assuming you took a few cues from them, being careful not to infringe on patents and things like that. But that congratulations on the ingenuity of this. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. So, how do you get drivers or operators, as you call them, I think. Tell us a little bit about, the two sides of this. So there's the customer side where the customer can go in and request or order snow removal. And then there's, the operator side who picks up that particular job, if you will. Tell us a little bit about, those two sides of the application and how that works for a customer.
Yeah, great question. So originally in the contractor side, we're thinking that we're going to get some, maybe some retired folks that, just want to make a little bit of extra money here or there, or maybe, some construction workers for the summer that kind of get laid off in the winter. We thought that was going to be our bread and butter. Well, what we found out is actually contractors who already had licenses, who already do snow removal, that are looking to just add a little bit more to, kind of to their bottom line. And so that's kind of really been a surprise and a shock to us. But it's great because they already have the equipment, they have the insurance, they already have the skill set to ensure that, we're not going to run into somebody's garage door or, and we're going to do a phenomenal job. So it's been kind of just making those phone calls to these companies that already do snow removal, or kind of our target audience who we think would be a great fit for SnowByrd. So it's a lot of phone calls. We've done some social media blasts to try to get operators. So yeah, word of mouth, that's been a big one as well. We were on a radio show. We've been on a morning news show around here in the Fargo Moorhead area. So just kind of getting that word out is really how we've been getting drivers and contractors, and how basically one would come about applying for us would be to go on the app, download the app as a client, as a customer. There is an option. If you'll click into it, it'll say switch to operator. And then if you switch to operator, then you start filling out kind of your information. We'll give you a call. We'll let you know you got to have a valid driver's license. You do have to have an insurance policy. We, as a company, also have an umbrella insurance policy, but you have to have a general liability policy as well. And Brady Blomberg, again, over at On Point Insurance, has a phenomenal general liability policy that they can put onto an insurance policy, which is, it's very, very reasonable. You do 4 or 5 jobs and you've got it paid for. And so it's very, very reasonable compared to everything else that we've looked at. And so that's actually helped us with kind of our barrier to entry. Because right away, if somebody wants to log in, like you said, some of the other ride shares, some of those other ones, when you're an operator, whenever you're ready to go to work, whether it's 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 8:30 at night, whenever you're ready, you log in You want to take a job, you take a job. If you don't take a job, it'll just go to one of our next operators. So it's a really, really flexible way to make some extra money for the winter.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great application of, to your point, whether it's a ride share or meal delivery or whatever it might be, it's kind of an extension of that. So um, if you've got if you got a vehicle that has the ability to move snow, this might be your opportunity to make a few extra bucks. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. One other point, Gary, if I could make one, um, you don't even need a plow. You don't need a snowblower if you don't want. You could have a plow, you could have a snowblower. If you have a shovel, you can certainly do a shovel. So for those of you that want to get out there and get that workout in and that exercise, and you just have a shovel, you're willing to make more money, and you're willing to make some more money, and you want a shovel, hey, we'll bring you on as well. So
Yeah, the gym will pay you, right?
that's right, exactly. You don't need a gym membership. Shoveling's hard work. That's a tough job, and that's also why we have this app. A lot of people don't want to shovel. They don't want to do that some days.
Yeah.
And that's where we fall in. We're the
Yeah.
non-contract. Just when you're ready, the drop of a hat, we're going to come over and we're going to remove snow for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Talk a little bit about the business side of this. You've been in business for a while in the Fargo Moorhead area. Your partners have also been, in and around the Fargo Moorhead area. How do you find the business community in the Fargo Moorhead area as far as, are they supportive of you? Have you reached out to any of them? I mean, tell us a little bit about, your connections, with the Fargo business community and how they help you.
Sure. We're a big community, yet a small community, So, and everybody that I find is super supportive of each other's businesses, especially the small startup businesses and local businesses, right? Everybody wants to help everybody else succeed in this community, it says a lot about the Fargo Moorhead area. Certainly, we don't always have the best weather, right? We could all live in San Diego. It'd be great. It'd be beautiful. But what really keeps people here is just that generosity, that true willingness to help other businesses. And so through different networking groups and different professionals and different businesses that I've talked to, they've helped spread the word. And, even some of our competitors, I guess we don't really have competitors, but even some of the snow removal companies are out there, kind of helping us build our business as we're helping build theirs. Because again, we've got a completely different model than the contract business, right? And so if we come upon somebody, because we get questions all the time through our Facebook page, through phone calls, through our website, we get questions all the time about, hey, what does it cost for a contract? And so then we deal with those questions, say, well, we're not a contract business. It is an on-demand. You can book it when you're ready. But if you're looking for a contract business, we do have a couple contractors in town that are willing to take on some more jobs this winter, and we'd love to set you up with them. So, we're all in this together at the end of the day, as businesses, as business owners, and we should all want to see everybody succeed. If we all want to see everybody succeed and we're not fighting against each other, I ultimately believe we're going to give a better experience, and I ultimately believe we're all going to succeed more than we would if we're just trying to undercut and we're trying to, go behind the backs of other businesses. So, and I think Fargo Moorhead area is phenomenal for that. And that's why I stay here. I love the beautiful weather, but I love it around here.
Yeah. So beyond SnowByrd and Groundhog and the Fargo Moorhead area, where do you see your growth coming in?
Yeah. So we got to nail down our process and make sure it's solid here first. We eventually do want to expand throughout the state of North Dakota, whether that be Bismarck, Grand Forks, Minot, kind of some of the bigger areas. But I think right now, we're within about 10 miles of the Fargo Moorhead area. That's really kind of our sphere right now, is where we want to stay. So Mapleton, I think, is about around the edge of that on this side of things. And so once we get that dialed in and we've got a good process and we're moving forward and we feel like we can expand, It could be next year, could be 2 years, could be 5 years from now. We don't know. We don't know yet, but we will know once we have our system down, and then we'll move into another community. When we move into another community, obviously we're going to have to hire somebody that's going to take care of that community, that area. We have a general manager here in the Fargo-Moorhead area that kind of helps run this area. His name is Talon Johnson. And then we've got people set up in Bismarck, Grand Forks right now. I think there's a couple people to talk to in Minot that could potentially just oversee those areas. The biggest challenges that we had, and you talked about challenges earlier, is coming up with pricing. Not every driveway is exactly the same. We do have a lot of very similar driveways in the Fargo-Moorhead area. So coming up with what is it going to cost and what does this look like? We've got it kind of dialed in. There's obviously some driveways that don't look the same as others, and so that we do have an other category, and that's going to be our tough one. But, when we move into these other communities, I might actually contact a couple of realtors in those communities that I know to kind of help let me know what is the most effective way to get good pricing and what are your driveways that you normally see, and so what kind of properties do you see out there? And so I think that really helps me, and that's kind of my angle on the business as a business owner. Being a part of this is having those connections in those networks in those other areas down the road. Certainly it's helped in the Fargo-Moorhead area, but when we expand out, that's when I'm really going to be able to shine, because I've got a lot of contacts in a lot of different areas. Would love to see us in Minneapolis down the road, but that I think is going to be a whole nother animal. We get a little bit of cookie cutter around North Dakota. Most communities have kind of cookie cutter. You got your 2-stall, your 3-stall, you got a little extra room on the side, a little extra slab of concrete. But Minneapolis, we're going to see all different sorts. But the good news is I do have a contact that runs a landscaping company that also does snow removal for contracts in the cities. And so that is going to be probably my first resource when we branch out. But again, Gary, we want to nail it down here, make sure our experiences are phenomenal for our clients and our customers here, and then we'll look to expand.
Yeah. And it might be interesting to use, some of the mapping software where you can, kind of measure the driveway, using some of that mapping software, and then that would give, kind of an automated estimate or something. Just kind of thinking out loud here, but 10 years from now, 15 years from now, what's the ultimate goal of SnowByrd and Groundhog? Because, if you, and I'm talking a little bit about, kind of goal setting here, but, where do you see yourself in that 10 to 15 year range? And if you don't know where you're going, you don't know how you're going to get there. So where are you ultimately heading, with SnowByrd and Groundhog?
Yeah. So 10 to 15 years, ultimately what I would like to see is, I would like to see us expanded throughout the United States. That might be closer to our 15-year goal, right? But the better we do here and the more word that gets out here, I believe down the road, there may be bigger companies that have a little bit bigger pocketbooks, that have a little bit more to be able to expand this thing. Again, I don't know. We definitely researched some of the ride shares and some of the food shares and some of that stuff. But I'm not super well versed in how they got there. They got their startups doing one thing or another, but I believe that there were some bigger funds and stuff that kind of came in that helps them expand, right? Because that's another challenge. When you expand to another market, we've got to get, different app development, which takes time. There's different areas. There's a lot of different challenges, and we got to have different people in different areas. So right now, financially, we don't have the financial backing to expand like that. But I believe the better we do here, the more that this word gets out. I believe within the next 10 years, even 5 to 10 years, I think if that word continues to spread, I think there'll be people knocking on our doors. Now, the challenge that's going to be there is who's the right one, right? Yeah. So I think what we really need, we'll start thinking after we get through this real first season, we got snow on November 20th. So once we get through this first real season, we'll sit down, we'll reevaluate, and figure out what do we need to change for next year.
Yeah.
And then if we continue to evolve and continue to get better, like I said, I think that word's going to get out, and eventually we're going to have some people knocking down our doors. But next year, that might be a conversation like, how do we vet bigger companies that want to come in and potentially offer expansion,
Yeah.
And so, but I would love to see this throughout the United States. I know they don't get a whole lot of snow down south, but that's our groundhog app, right? And so that's where that one fits in. So we've got a little bit of something for everybody in this country, and ultimately that's what I hope happens, because I think it's such a phenomenal service to people, and the ease and the comfort, and that's where our society is going. The ease, the comfort. Everybody wants to spend more time with their family. Well, how do you do it? You don't do it by doing snow removal for 2 hours before work and 2 hours after work, right? I mean, you spend 4 hours snow removal. So what is time worth? It's that peace of mind. And so I think being able to spend more time with family, or just getting away from work and not having to do all this other stuff and have these responsibilities. We're such a fast-paced community that in the United States, we don't slow down anymore. We don't. European countries, they still do a little bit of that slowing down. They take time for life. And so last thing we want somebody to go on vacation and worried about what do they got to do for snow removal because they're getting a blizzard while they're, in Mexico or in Jamaica, and so I really think that is such a phenomenal thing for people to be able, this is such a phenomenal thing for people to be able to do.
So what can the folks in Fargo Moorhead or anyone listening to this podcast, what can they do to help SnowByrd and Groundhog? Let's focus on SnowByrd. I mean, it's that time of year, unfortunately. Not that I want to timestamp a podcast, but we've already kind of done that a few times.
Right. Yeah.
What can the community do to help you?
They could certainly, the biggest things that they can do is just download the app so we can know how to better serve our community. And so the app is on the Apple Store. It's on the Google, or on Android, the Google stores. So you can go in, download that. It's SnowByrd with BYRD. So SNOWBYRD. I think the Android store is a little bit better at pulling that up right up at the front, or at the top of the page. Apple, I've known you have to scroll down a little bit or search SnowByrd snow removal, and then we come up. So you'll see the bird. It's a blue, kind of a very similar colored shirt to this, the blue shirt. But just downloading that app and setting up your account. So if you ever need it, and then just spreading the word, telling others. You can definitely check out our website, Official SnowByrd, again with the Y, officialsnowbyrd.com. Check that out. That also has links to take you to the app stores. You can check out our Facebook page. We do a lot of updating, stuff like that, through our Facebook page as well. So SnowByrd, SNOWBYRD, just get the word out to those. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, those that don't want to do a contract. Again, we're not trying to step on any toes for those that want to do a contract, because there is definitely a good business out there. But for those that don't want to do a contract and just every once in a while need a little extra help, look us up.
Yeah, and we'll put those links in the show notes too, so
awesome.
Folks have those handy. What else do you want to let folks know here as we close this out? What would be important for people to hear that we haven't maybe talked about yet?
Sure. Just kind of know we're doing everything that we can to ensure that it is going to be quick. It's going to be on demand. It's going to be fast. We believe with this idea, our demand may just outweigh our supply. So the amount of contractors and drivers that we're going to have. So if you don't get it the first time, keep trying. We're trying to get as many drivers out there. We're trying to hire as many. And that brings me back to the question you just asked. If you know, or if anybody, your audience or anybody out in this community knows anybody that just wants to log in, make a little extra money, or they know somebody that this is all that they want to do this winter, I'd love for them to kind of sign up on our app as a driver, as an operator, because we're going to need that. I really, really believe that our demand is going to outweigh our supply. So we're really, really looking for drivers, and we're doing some advertising. We've done some Indeed stuff. We've done some Facebook advertising for contractors, but I don't believe that we have enough for this idea. And so that's probably the last thing that I can probably say that we need some help with, but definitely, we're here to ensure that it is a great experience. It's quick, it's on demand. We don't allow our drivers to take more than one job at a time. So they have to take a before picture, they have to take an after picture. And then once that after picture is done, that shows the job is completed. And the clients, our customers, will get notifications when the job has been taken, when it's been started, when it's been completed. Our drivers, once they take that final picture and have completed the job, that's when they can take their next job. We really wanted to ensure we did that so a driver doesn't take 4 jobs and now they don't get to your house for 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
So that's truly our kind of our fail safe to make sure that this is an on-demand thing. So,
well, we wish you all the luck in the world, and luck doesn't have a lot to do with it. You can get lucky, and as I hear a lot of times, you can get lucky and be successful in business, but you can't get lucky and keep it. So good luck to you guys, and keep the focus. Let me know if I can help you in any way. And thanks so much for coming on the Hotdish Hustle today.
Awesome. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate you having us on, helping us get the word out. Thank you.